Welcome back to Real Tech Talk, episode number 34. As I said, we are going to bring you the technologies changing the real estate game. And today we are attacking construction and development in the retail sector. And we're attacking it with a superstar, someone that doesn't just play around starting companies, someone who starts companies and they succeed. My man, Amol Sarva of Columbia University, Congress witness, frickin' Stanford, Notel, Real Life Ventures, and on the list goes on. These aren't companies that didn't succeed. These are monsters, and he spent some time with us today. So sit down and pay attention what he has to say. I know I am. That's why we're here, bro. This is Real Tech Talk. Boom shakalaka. So who the hell are you, bro? You know, what are you into? What do you do? Yo, you can keep it real here. Tell me about these real estate players.
Eric Brody is the managing principal of CEMVC LLC. All opinions expressed by Eric and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of CEMVC LLC. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Clients of CEMVC LLC may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast.
Welcome back to Real Tech Talk, people. Today we're bringing you that heat, another construction and development technology, but this time by one of the masters, one of the godfathers of technology, applying it to real estate. But first, he applied it to Virgin Mobile, you may have heard of. Before that, he thought he should go to Stanford. Before that, Columbia. And then most impressive, Stuyvesant High School. Please welcome Amol Sarva, my contemporary. How are you, kind sir?
My goodness, wow. To think, before we were all this, we were pencil-necked geeks riding the subway.
So listen,
public school.
The audience always wants to know a bit about your background. How did you get into technology right from the jump? And then why did that apply to real estate, what you were trying to solve? And then we'll get into exactly what your business is.
I don't know. A lot of people have that whole, like, my dad bought me a computer story, but I guess, like, the thing that I consider my claim to fame is pizza. I think we made the first way to order pizza on the internet. It was a Domino's on 103rd Street in Broadway.
Really?
When I was in college. Yeah. And, like, they hired us. We made this thing. You would order it on your computer. It would send them a fax because they didn't actually have computers at the Domino's, but you had your computer in, like, your college dorm or whatever. And then you paid in cash. We did it. We invented that.
What's online, which is now Uber Eats. You should have stuck with that, huh?
Right. I should have used that name. We went with Domino'sNYC.com.
Wait, but so just to give me the tech though. Like, what was that? What was behind that?
Dude, it was a website. I mean,
a website,
to
right?
make a website to, like, type in your name and what pizza you wanted was, like, at that time kind of complicated. And, like, basically you would just get, the same thing as if you had made a phone call. It seemed dumb, but people actually did it.
Of course.
And yeah, so that's how I got into tech. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And I made a bunch of other very, very simple things. This is like the 90s. Like, I was on the subway in Astoria yesterday and I saw one of these old billboards on the side. It was like, Internet Cafe, learn internet, use internet, play internet games, have coffee. Like, that was the 90s. Like, you would put the word internet in stuff and it sounded like, artificial intelligence or something. And so, like, yeah, we made some websites. We got paid a lot of money. I made a CD-ROM. And I was like, this is awesome. I mean, it's great to be, like, good at school, but I just thought I wanted to do more tech kind of stuff. And I heard about all these famous tech people, whatever, Microsoft and Apple and all that. And I was trying to just get into the game.
That's amazing. But it was in NYC. You grew up in NYC and you went to school here as well.
Yeah. No, I'm born and raised in Queens, and I still live in Queens in Long Island City. It's changed a little bit over
Queens
the years.
light,
It's changed a little bit. But those are the same subway line that I used to take to go to high schoal. And then, I was at college at Columbia in New York. So I was totally in New York. And New York was not a place to do startups at that time. There were hardly any. You couldn't even, like, meet somebody. I got an internship in college working for, like, one of the first Fred Wilson companies backed by one of, like Union Square Ventures guys. And we were making ad banners. We made one of the first ad banners. One of the ad banners that you would see just like that, are all over the internet now. One of the first animated ad banners and one of the first interactive ones where you, like, could play a little game in there. I was just working for some guy, this amazing entrepreneur and venture capitalist now. And that kind of got me started. It really got rolling, though, when I moved to Palo Alto because I got into this grad school. I was doing a PhD at Stanford. That's like sounds really amazing. But part of the reason why I went was just to be able to be in Palo Alto and be kind of around. And
when was that though?
So it was 1998. The internet was a very big deal. We were about to have like the absolute peak of the whole bubble thing. And I was like, oh, I want to go be there. I want to like be in a startup. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll just like, my cover story will be I'm in grad school and no one will complain. My parents will be cool with it. And maybe something will happen. I'll just like walk down the street and I'll meet someone. And it took a little time, but then it happened. Yeah. Like I got involved in a couple things and then I got involved in like the real one. We started this company, Virgin Mobile, became a giant mobile phone company.
So how did that happen? How'd you meet, what's his name, Richard?
Richard came by.
Richard?
Sir Richard. Richard was hardly involved. It's amazing. He has this amazing team of people, though, who are like really, really like sharp and buttoned up and have all these strategies, and they look for entrepreneurs who are working on stuff. And there was this dude I got introduced by a classmate friend from college who was just like, oh yeah, you should meet this guy. I kind of know him. And he was in San Francisco. He had just moved back from London. He had become friends with some of the Virgin people. He wanted to start a mobile phone company, but he wasn't technical. He didn't know anything about really internet.
Are you the technical party or you were
at
the
that
business?
Point, yeah. No, I mean, at that point I was like the technical person. I had made the pizza website, and
that was you. You learned coding.
I did.
You took it upon yourself.
At that time, yeah. And then like over time, of course, I've become a more businessy person. But like, yeah, at that time, he was like, hey, if we make a phone and Virgin invests and it's going to be like a new mobile phone, like, is there some way to make it more Virgin-y? Like, can there be like music on it? Like, what can we do? And I was like, yeah, let me like check into that. Oh yeah, we can probably put like tiny little websites on the phone. It'll be awesome. Like you'll open the phone and there'll be like a homepage, and the homepage will be like, oh, listen to music, download a ringtone. Or we had this app that I came up with that I'm very proud of, and I can now say it with some humility, which was basically you called a phone number and it would play you songs on the phone. Like as a phone call. I mean, it sounds insane like now, right?
Yeah, of
but
course.
Like at that moment, I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's like on-demand music, and you put it on your Bluetooth headphones or whatever. Like
they didn't have Bluetooth yet, did they?
Wired headphones. We're about to turn into those like super silly Bluetooth headphones. I mean, Bluetooth used to be the dumbest thing in the universe. It's actually in the real estate. Your annoying contractor with this giant Bluetooth thing over his ear.
Yeah,
those were the only people.
Yeah,
that would
where they
use
had
that.
it. Yeah, of course. Wait, so now you came? Was that back? You came back to the city for Virgin, or stayed out on the West Coast?
Well, we started the company there, and as it started to get big, I came back to New York, and then it like was getting really quite big, and we opened an office in New Jersey, and that was when I left. I was like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. It's become a big sort of thing, and then I was like, all right, New York entrepreneurship. I'm going to start my next company here.
And which one was that?
Well, I did a bunch of stuff before I got on your real estate radar. I mean, then
That's
I
right.
did a
I mean,
smartphone.
tons. When I found out about you, I was like, I can't believe I haven't met this guy. And then when I found out, you knew my friends from Stuyvesant, I was like, I mean, where was I? I was separate, whatever that movie is where you miss them on the train.
I mean, no one would have remembered me. I was like, a very nerdy high school kid, and. Well, I mean, the next thing I did at that point, I was like, okay, great. We just like made an awesome mobile phone company, and it's kind of famous, and a lot of people are inspired by it. I should do something else in mobile phones, and probably the next big thing is going to be smartphones, so I'll make a smartphone. So we made a smartphone. In 2007, 2008, the company was called Peak. We launched this thing.
And now I just want the audience to know, you launched it in 07, 08. You also went in front of the federal government to talk about it, no? We're not talking to somebody who's like, yeah, this phone company. It's like, no, and the government knew and had you come speak to them.
It's slightly, a couple of different threads are getting intermingled, but yeah, that was definitely.
Well, that's what you get in a half an hour,
But that was like a super big highlight. Like, yes, I testified in front of the Senate on stuff about mobile phones and wireless and whatever. It wasn't necessarily like me pitching my company, but
maybe you raised from it,
It did help, yeah. And we raised a bunch of money from like really great venture firms, and we launched this gadget, which was an ultra simple, very beautiful. It was like on the cover of all the design magazines. It was the #1 gadget in Time and in Wired, and it was at Target and at Radio Shack, if you remember that store. It was like in stores all across the country.
No, I remember. What was the one in Pier 17 that you'd go to that had all the future stuff in it?
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, we even sold in Brookstone.
Brookstone, there she is.
Yeah, like when you're buying the massage
device. And your phone would be there.
Yeah, we sold. Yeah, and it was basically a $50 smartphone, a little bit ahead of its time, I think, because we were focusing on making it so simple and so cheap. At that time, it was the same year like iPhone came out, and the iPhone was $600 or $700, and they sold 1 million of them in the first year. 1 million. They probably sell that many every 12 hours now or every 6 hours. But at that time, and we thought, oh, well, let's make this thing. And it honestly was very successful as a consumer device. It was incredibly famous. We sold a bunch of them. It pales in comparison, though, to what Android and the ultra inexpensive Google devices and stuff did. So when we got bought in 2012, it was kind of a surprise, kind of a relief. It had been a tricky thing to navigate. Also, the crisis, like we launched September 12th, 2008. That was nasty.
Yeah.
It was hard for startups. Like you often think about mortgages and real estate, but and finance, but it was really hard for startups that period, 2008. So we were acquired by SoftBank in 2012, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God this happened. SoftBank was not as big a deal as they are now. But they bought the thing, and they rolled out all these apps on our platform all around the world. Like hundreds of millions of users have been using our stuff over the years. And then 2012, so that was like.
So how did you then
chapter.
Even begin? Obviously, serial entrepreneur. Nothing holds you back from executing on an idea, not over and over. How did you then see that real estate was your next frontier? And then it was also your first experiment to it was huge, right? And then it came to, I want to know how you're thinking about it today, where you're now melding them. So what was the first pivot to real estate?
The mobile phones and the smartphones thing sort of seems rational, like a kind of linear process, but I didn't get into it through a linear process. I got into it by just moving west and being open to find something new. And around 2012, I'm at a moment like that again, where I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do another mobile phone or smartphone or whatever. Let me simply open my mind to what is possible, make a list of things that I think are cool, just kind of mess around with them a little bit and see what happens. And a bunch of interesting stuff started happening. I had been building this building in Long Island City. That was one of my side projects during 2008, 2012. During that period, we finished building it. Apartment building. I mean, I had never built anything of any significance. It was kind of a pain. It was really hard, especially to do it as a side project. And so I built this 20,000 square foot building.
By the way, I think that's funny. Others will work their lifetime to take the initiative or the risk to develop an asset. And you don't look at life that way. You're looking at it, what is going to be open to the universe, and I will then operate as to what it brings in. And you're like, turns out there's a side project, 20,000 square foot development. Why not? Why not? Let me tell you a million fucking reasons why not. But you didn't see it that way.
Well, I mean, it almost took my life from me. I mean, it was very, very, very hard to do. And when staggering across the finish line on that thing, and I always say
we choke everyone across the finish line, but staggering across is good too.
It was tough. And so, but then, open-minded, try a few things. And at that point, I have a significant track record of startups.
Yep.
So having started those things, the mobile phone stuff, I started a bunch of new ones. And that period from 2012 for 4 or 5 years, I was messing around with a few things, and a bunch of them were doing well, and they're quite varied. I mean, enterprise software and neuroscience and a whole bunch of other experiments. And in 2015, at the end of 2015, I noticed that, I noticed co-working. It was around. Everyone had always done co-working. Even at Virgin, when we were doing Virgin Mobile in 99, 2000, we shared our office with other people. Some of them were random startups. It wasn't even our office. We were kind of subletting it from some other company that was cutting. It's always been true in tech that you just sort of share because you're always in flux. So
or looking to share ideas or be around motivated people and more. I find it to be not exclusive. When you look at real estate, everyone's like, I'm doing cool shit. I got the money. Stay away. Technologists are very inclusive. If you know about what I'm doing does not mean it's to my detriment. It's a totally different attitude.
It's often additive, yeah. And that creative spark comes. And it was really inspiring for me to be around other entrepreneurs. So I was always sharing my office with people. It was on 17th Street, and we had all these people around.
Full stop. It is super inspiring. I have a whole podcast being able to meet with people like you. It's the shit. How could you not want to be inspired by others, So I agree.
Yeah, and then you get practical ideas out of it. So it's 2015, and somebody walks in my office, and they're like, WeWork and co-working, 5 billion, whatever. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's interesting. What are they doing? So I just go and walk around and I look at the actual stuff that they had been executing, because there's a lot of co-working around the city. There was General Assembly.
Yeah, there was Regis, right? Regis, whatever. It had been around.
Yeah, but around town there were a bunch of younger companies / entrepreneur dudes that were running spaces. General Assembly, New York City. There was a long list of these kind of places.
Yep.
Then there was a guy who coined the term co-working. This guy Tony Basilugo he's just a downtown New York person, and I go visit those. I go visit the WeWork, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, there's 2 or 3 weeks, and there's something wrong with this. Nobody who's in these spaces is willing to say that they work here. They're all just kind of hanging out here right now.
Why, no one's proud.
What real company is going to ever be built here? So I'm like, okay, but you know what? The people back at 17th Street in our building, like this is their spot. Like they
Yeah.
say, this is where we work. This is our company. And so that was the idea behind Notel. And then
Wait, just full pause. Notel, what was that? How many square feet were you at a time? What was when it was the largest? How big was Notel?
So from that like head scratching inspiration moment at the end of 2015 to like the end of 2020, like peak COVID, we reached 400 million in revenue, 5 million square feet, 27 cities in 10 countries. The staff is like 1,000 people scattered all around the world.
I just find it to be just incredible how we can, in a cavalier fashion, I get to chill with you all the time. You're my homeboy, and we get to discuss it. And you were, this is not the first time, the second, it's like the fifth time you were able to do it, right? It's like the Midas Touch. And look, at the end of the day, you guys can look it up and look at that, but it's more about what you can create, right? Then you need a little luck, and you don't need COVID and the rest of it, but like, that's really fascinating because you were the largest competitor to WeWork at the time. You were number 2.
We were the global number 2. Yeah. And it was really big. I mean, it's crazy how it got so big. COVID, of course, was super, super challenging. And I think I escaped and we escaped with our lives. We sell the company to Newmark, which is this giant brokerage at peak COVID. I wish it had all been different. Like,
it's all good.
Before, do it later. But like, holy cow, we like the experience of having built a company of that scale. And that is the biggest one that I ran. Like at Virgin Mobile, I was kind of like the schmuck deputy to this other guy. And the company goes on to do amazing things. I think I had a hand in what we created, but for Notel, like the whole way, I'm there for it. And so, yeah, it was an
So
experience.
now you have true real estate experience, domain expertise on fumbling around with 20,000. You have massive venture and business acumen. So now you get to look again. You get to look again at the universe and say, and I just think it's really important for us to pay attention. That then became what you're dealing with now, which I'd love for you to explain, the company that you're here now discussing, and what's it called.
Yeah. So, I mean, the enormous privilege of, let's say, COVID, like in the silver linings world, for those that had their whole world changed by it.
Oh, yeah, I know a couple of those guys.
Maybe the silver lining is you get a new world.
Yep.
And like the kind of cool thing about it is it's a clean sheet of paper. There are no boundaries. You can just go. And that is what I started doing in, basically the last 2 years. I just started thinking about, all right, well, what do I know about? What do I like? What's interesting? What's changing? Where are some opportunities? What's important? Like, where should I just get into it? And some of the themes that emerged for me, first of all, now after having built a ton of companies, I'm like, all right, I should help other people build companies. I should not just go into a little hole and construct something. I think a lot of the experience I have will be helping other entrepreneurs, whether they are technology people, science people, or just real estate people. And actually the heart of this company, Aikito, because I started a bunch of experiments, started building a few things, built a venture capital firm, and have been backing some wonderful entrepreneurs.
So like a studio almost.
Yeah.
Because you are involved in these entities. You're not like you're just incubating them. You are involved.
I mean, we're trying to help companies like be great, and
which is I think, just for everyone listening, it's like, what a different philosophy. It's not a singular company. It was, how can we create a studio where I can assist a few, and one that came out of it is Aikito, right?
Yeah, so Aikito is one of these companies that I've been spending lots of time on over the last couple of years, and is now like a company.
And what is Aikito? What is it doing?
PowerPoint. But my idea on Aikito with my partners was, wow, okay, Notel, huge experience, amazing industry, real estate, colossal. It's like so much revenue, so many problems. Climate is one of them. There's all this friction. People lose money all the time. Like, what can we do? Like, is there a spot? Well, what do we know? And what we
So you're identifying that real estate is fragmented, not very efficient, constant friction points, and yet still doing really well and chugging along, right? Seems to be like needs to be disrupted somehow, right?
Yeah, or helped, yeah.
Or helped, assisted.
There's opportunity. Yeah, there's just opportunity in real estate, and it's not over yet. Like, I don't want to do an ad tech company advertising.
Yeah.
But like real estate is still kind of early in the whole PropTech universe. A lot of the innovations and the big ideas from 4 or 5 years ago, they just disappeared because of COVID, and people are going to have to rebuild them and reinvent them and all that. And so here's the thing. So what do we know? What do I know? What can I actually be helpful with? Well, we opened 500 locations in a short time with Notel. And that was a pain. And one of the real heartaches of that was our business was about a certain kind of experience for companies and enterprises. Like you're Amazon, you're opening all over the place, your AWS department is on fire. You need to put 100 people in Toronto and in Sao Paulo and in Johannesburg like tomorrow. Are you going to get on a plane, fly around, walk around with No. So the Knotel value proposition was, if you are an enterprise and you need to be anywhere, everywhere, move around, expand, shrink, whatever, we will just make that happen for you. You don't need hundreds of people on your internal real estate operations team to manage. Knotel is that thing for you. It's all turnkey. It's all done.
Wait, I just want to say two things that you said that are really, really like super relevant. So one is, experience. You cared about the experience of the office. We care about the experience of the person occupying the hotel or the residential. Even putting that first is pretty wild and innovative. That is not how we were thinking about real estate. The second thing you're saying is if you're a large company expanding, you're right, that team becomes internal. Architects, engineers, you need contractors, subcontractors, expediters, filing it to get it opened up wherever you were. So if you're a company that's expanding and doing really well, you had to have these massive real estate teams and you were like, no, we're going to do that for you. So that's two pretty interesting things that you said that I think are super relevant.
Totally. Yeah. And I could wax philosophical about the reversal that's needed in real estate for quite some time, because real estate has always been about, get the financing, get the land.
100, nothing to do with that. You can add alpha based on the experience of that consumer, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. If you actually cared about how they experience the space, maybe you can have a higher return.
Creating an operating platform, an experience first, product first, customer centric sort of operation. So yeah, Knotel was doing that in office. All right, fine. So that's Knotel. But office, and that was Knotel. That's that actually is kind of what everyone's doing in commercial all day long. If you're doing short-term rentals, or you're opening the next generation of gyms, also known as wellness spas, or
storefront
reinventing
fitness,
F&B, or what's going on with retail? Will retail be retail, or will it be this other thing? What about membership clubs? All of a sudden, New York is turning into London, and there's membership clubs all over the place.
Soho,
so
Zero
you are
Bond.
reinventing the city that you live in. You're reinventing the world that we live in. You're creating healthier food, better experiences, whatever. Do you want to do real estate development as well? Is that a thing you want to do? Knotel was 60-70% real estate operations people, when what we were trying to do was change an aspect of the office experience and how enterprises handle it. So you're awesome sandwich shop where you are just kicking ass in Brooklyn, and it's going to have 10 locations if you play your cards right around New York City. Financing it, building out the landmines. So you got to put together a cast of people.
Yeah, we say it all the time. It's a complex business. It's not complicated. There is very difficult for you to now streamline that process. And you all of a sudden love sandwiches, but now you're a builder, like you said.
Right. So that is the persona. And I think that persona is an entrepreneur. And those folks are just everywhere. And, they might be buying franchises, inventing franchises, just pursuing their personal passion, their dream of what's coming in the future. And those folks, they did not start with the dream of becoming a builder. That is not what they want to do. So Aikito, answer is Aikito. We'll just turnkey that build out for you. Find the spot you want to be in, and Aikito will turnkey it for you. You type in the address, and you just say what you kind of have in mind, and we will immediately generate for you the project plan, the timeline, the budget, an RFP. And it'll be kind of basic because we don't know that much about you. All you said is, I want to do a coffee shop in Brooklyn. But once you tell us a little bit more, our templates and our technology and even our real human beings inside the platform will make sure that your stuff is not missing things, that it actually seems professional, and that quality builders are going to want to look at it, designers are going to look at it, they'll bid on it, and you'll be able to run a competitive process. You'll be able to make sure you're not missing some of the key folks. I mean, large operations have entire people, dedicated full-time job, owners rep people that run all this, and you don't.
So
you've got
Aikito,
1, 2, 3 locations, you need us.
So Aikito is, how do we get the dream makers who are really successful operators to execute that dream with a credible workflow, cost perspective, sort of playing zone defense, that if you want to do this, we can tell you exactly that process, that timeline, so you can get comfort that it may not be perfect, but at least you're not going to miss anything.
Do it, and do it on the platform. Open your phone or your laptop, and it's just all there in one place. Like you expect it to be in so many other realms of your work. If you're working at a creative agency or something to do the brand for your store or whatever, you just open a screen and it's there, and you can put in the comments and edit, and somehow the builder wants you to like show up somewhere at 8:30 in the morning and walk around and like writes things on the back of a cardboard with a Sharpie, like that's literally the process that many people still use.
Of course.
That should not be what you are doing as the owner who's trying to like run your business, whatever that business is. So Aikito lets you do it digitally, but it also gives you a lot of intelligence and knowledge in the platform so that we shortcut you forward. You will put together your cast, whether they're the designers or the contractors, the expediters. You will manage them so you see what's up, what's the progress, see the milestones, make the payments. It's all on platform, so the record is there. There's none of this, wait, I thought you said whatever, like I don't think this is done, or there's a picture of the bar and the damage that you noticed when you did the inspection, and that picture is still there on the platform when you come back and they're asking
So you're
for money.
trying to reduce what the friction that you saw, right? It's not perfection, but it's definitely reducing that and giving you the ability to execute your dream in building out these retail spaces with someone that you feel not only you're aggregating data, has the expertise, and is telling you straight from day one what this is going to take, which is huge because the human mind kind of needs to understand that process right from the get-go, that it's not going to be easy. Do you think you would have done the 20,000 square foot if you knew what you were headed into?
No, I wouldn't have done it.
Which is huge, right? So
and the landmines, it's like a way to think about it is just like I had no idea how many different ways I'd get killed. And if I had just, and everyone lies
partnered
to you.
with a good developer, you know?
No one, that clown
We didn't know each other.
Took me to the cleaners. You'd be living in that building now. I'd be on the street. So that's the pitch to the customer of Aikito, and the intelligence that's in that platform will help you get it done faster and better and cheaper and whatever. Honestly, cheaper. It will save you much. It'll save you a lot because you'll get bids from credible people that are well informed, and it's not just save you money in the long run like landmine type stuff. You just get better contractors. You don't have to just ask people at a dinner party, whatever. So that's the pitch. And you as an entrepreneur who's building, that's one audience. But the other way to think about it is like you might be curious. Okay, well, what's the business? What kind of business is this?
That's what I was going to ask you. How are you making money? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is a kind of business in tech land that for consumers, people built a bunch over the years. These things that like help you find a service provider. So over the last 15 years or so, especially in residential, you need to do some repairs. You go on like Thumbtack or Home Advisor or Angie's List or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a transactional that they come by one time, you do something. There are some that are a little bit more long duration. These are marketplace businesses basically that help you find a service provider. And then there's some that are longer duration, like you're finding a tutor or you're finding like a babysitter or something. So that has happened in consumer. Over in B2B, it is a fairly new idea that you would find like your $1 million contractor online. People
Right, it's up to like 200,000 maybe online, or even less, like you're saying. If it's $50, now we're up to maybe $1 million.
Right. So in Resi, like you want to redo your bathroom. There's a couple of wonderful companies. One of them is run by a great friend of mine named Coda. It's called A Block Renovation. Bathroom, get it done so much faster, quite efficient. In commercial, I want to do a bakery. Like you're still going to be like asking for referrals.
Your max tech is Excel and referrals, right?
Yeah.
And maybe pen and paper. So I hear you.
Bringing that into the modern age, it's time, and it's going to be good for all parties. So you heard the pitch for the customer, but for the vendor community, how much time is a contractor spending hustling business? Like so much of the
or how about
day.
educating, like that they're not trying to screw, like so much time, right? And if you're actually vetted that consumer for that builder, and he's like, all right, I'm in, it'd be huge for their business.
Yeah, and it's like a curated bid process. You're not just like blindly buying leads on Home Advisor, hoping that this person eventually is going to be a real customer. And so like you got a really professionally well done RFP, you look at it, you're like, okay, here's my number, win, lose, and then we go. I think it'll be very productive for the entire category. And then, is it a business? Yeah, we make some commission on the value of the transactions.
That reminded me of Wolf of Wall Street. Commissions, man. Wait, so tell me, where do you stand today? Like, where's the business?
We've done the first few projects. They're chunky, big, like multi-$100,000 projects, and we've done them on the digital platform. So we've like artisanally been trying to like build. Because people are like, well, that'll be too hard. It's too complicated. How can you possibly do it? So we had to build this platform and start doing actual real projects on the platform from the beginning all the way through the final closeout. And now that we're doing that,
So you
we've
had
done
product
millions-
market fit.
I would say it's no. I would say it's still very early in that process. But there are a couple things that are very clear. On the customer side, there are so many businesses that would like to conduct their business online in this way. Like,
Easily.
where do you find the vendors? So
Easily,
the
right?
demand side is like so clear. That was a big question in the beginning, like, where do we go? What's the segment? But these chains...
Right, because you worry that the consumer's like, nah, I got the real estate piece, right? We got this handled. We're the best. And you're like, actually, even the big companies you're dealing with don't.
Yeah.
Or have had enough experience. They don't want to.
There is a lot of demand to move this thing online. And when you look at all the dead bodies, though, in startup land, like there isn't any competition. Like nobody's doing what we are doing. There are people who kind of thought about it 10 years ago and they ended up doing a lot of bathrooms in the suburbs. So like who's doing these like $1 million restaurant launches? Nobody is. And we want to do them. And so I was wondering if anybody would care. But so like, yeah, people care. So there is a significant amount of demand. The other thing that's interesting is that it kind of works. Like we've been able to make it minimal enough that you're not like on a website being like, oh, please move this light 3 inches. Like we're not doing that. We're not doing collaborative design architecture. But managing the process of the sign-offs and the money and the contracts and like that actually works. And on platform, that's good. Great. So we have a product that actually makes some sense. And we've uncovered a couple of other cool things. Like now that we know a lot about the customer in this process, we know enough to lend them money. There's this really cool other like payments aspect of the thing where, I don't know, maybe we lend you some money to get the project done.
And then you have control, meaning you lend, but you're also in control of that requisition process to completion. It's, that's fascinating.
So there's this embedded finance aspect in the business, which is really cool. And then finally, the other big discovery, which is a really big part of traction, is that the vendor community wants to do business on this platform. They want to get jobs.
Of course.
People, it wasn't obvious to like the typical tech person. We started out talking to folks and they were like, I don't know. Well,
So what's your ask today? Where do you stand? Did you raise? Are you raising? What would, if you wanted the audience to know where you're at?
we did, so for the company, we did, I guess like a pre-seed financing. It was kind of chunky. It was around $4 million and it was led by some really good investors, North Zone. The team is developing well. I would love to hear from people that want to be part of this like mission with the company, because I think transforming this category, and you have a unique audience, people listening to this thing, I think want to be part of transforming PropTech 2.0, 3.0, whatever.
What is it? It's probably 3.0, right? Because
7.0
2.0 just got fucking destroyed, right?
Yeah. So be
So
part
your
of this
timing
next,
couldn't be better.
the next mission. Yeah, we're rebuilding, right? We're rebuilding the world. And if you want to be part of rebuilding that world, and this time sustainably too, like one of my big regrets in the hotel world is like, we're a tenant, we go into all these spaces, we're touching all these buildings, and we're not moving the needle at all on like energy utilization, et cetera. Well, this time we get to do that, make it very clear with every one of the customers that's coming through, what are they doing or not doing, options, choices.
And not making it more expensive. You're just making it like these are just better materials that are more sustainable.
Saves you money on the OpEx in the long run. It pays for itself. We could even finance the stuff you put in. Like we lend you the money and take it from the savings over time because you put in new HVAC. Anyhow, there are people who want to be part of that journey with us, customers who want to be part of that. And just make their lives easier. That's the ask. And
That's awesome.
coming to a city near you. I mean, for now, we've been doing our best to just kick ass in New York, and we will spread across the U.S. I think in the coming year or two.
Well, amazing. I appreciate you coming on, man. And for you, if I'm anyone out there, you better pay attention to whatever this man is touching. And thanks you for coming through and spending some time with me.
Always a pleasure.
Peace. That's what I'm talking about. That's that heat. That's that real tech talk. We are bringing you the companies changing the game, as we always say. Now, he started a company called Aikito. Aikito is attacking a part of the business that is the biggest pain to many. Imagine you're an entrepreneur. All you do is know how to run that business as an operator, and it's hugely successful. In order to expand, you have to become a real estate developer and builder. That is another business. If you want to stick to what you know, you need assistance in that sector. And he's using technology to make it work. Better workflows, being able to watch that so that when you want to expand, you exactly know how long it's taking. And where did he get that experience? From a massive company who was attempting to do the same thing and operate. If it was me, I'd have pay attention to this company, because not only does he have the Midas Touch, he's attacking something that we know there's a need. All right, peeps, pleasure serving you once again. Number 34 on a plate.